welcome to this discussion on your IP or future with Creative First. Our first speaker today is actor Gautam Kapur. Gautam's transition from modeling to acting has been notably exemplified by the critically acclaimed short film, How Much Do You Want to Know? His career as an actor began with the film Danger, directed by Govind Menon and Vasant Cheda in 2002. He then went on to star in films like It Was My Brother Nikhil, directed by Onir, and Koi Aapsa, directed by Partho Mitra. In 2007, he got his big break in Anurag Basu's film Life in a Metro. Apart from acting, Gautam enjoys martial arts, swimming, and sports like squash. Gautam, welcome to this discussion.
Thank you.
Our second speaker, Jamshed Mistry, is an experienced counsel and founder of the International Legal Alliance, a virtual global network of lawyers. He has a demonstrated history of working in the law practice industry and skilled in various types of litigation, international law, media, and entertainment law. He's a member of the Bombay Bar Association, the Intellectual Property Rights Practitioners Association, Maximum Lawyer Group, and associate member of the Canadian Bar Association. He is also an advisory board member of the South Asian Fashion Week held in Vancouver and the Vancouver International South Asian Film Festival. Jamshed, welcome to this discussion.
Thank you.
Gautam, tell us about your transition from a successful career in modeling to acting and finding success on the international festival circuit.
Well, modeling has been great. It was a great career. It was never my main career, but it was fabulous. It became somewhat a 20-day-a-month work schedule, which I had to balance my business that I was doing at that time with the modeling career. And it was great because it taught what it does is it gives you a level of self-confidence. Because when you are walking on a ramp in front of 1,000 people and lights blaring on you and the cameras on you, I guess you learn there's a lot of transition that happens in your own personality. So you slowly develop more confidence. You understand your body language, you understand your camera angles, and it also gives you a lot of confidence because when you're doing an ad film, you know how to, you're less stressed about, being in front of the camera. And acting, I think, is an extension of modeling with dialogues. So, if I may say so. And the film circuit has been wonderful. I didn't expect it to take off in this way. We just decided to produce this film in Hollywood. And yes, it's been raining selections and awards. And I'm very, very grateful. A lot of gratitude to the universe. And let's see what happens next.
Congratulations on that again. Jamshed, how has contract and copyright law evolved in the media and entertainment industry?
So, as you know, in India, both these acts actually came about in the 1950s, interesting. But as we know it, I mean, they sort of evolved over a period of time. The film industry was not very sort of savvy with written contracts. They used to have, if I recollect, it was more to do with trust. So if you went with more than a half a page to a page contract, they would sort of look at you with a lot of suspicion. That's what people in the yesterday used to say. But over a period of time, yes, it has evolved. I think this is a lot to do with how contracts to begin with used to look like, in the US. They followed the American system, and typically, the contract would have sort of right from the names of the parties and all the different conditions of the contract, including the payment clause and several other clauses, including copyright. All these clauses sort of evolved over a period of time, and they used to be much shorter, as I recall. I think even 20 years ago. Now, I think as time has gone on, there's been a lot of additions. We always say that it's not necessary that the longer the contract, the better it is. Not so at all. But the important clauses sort of, and then especially clauses with regard to the various rights of the parties. Those are really the ones which sort of determine the contract. Copyright, again has evolved. In fact, how copyright was registered earlier used to be, quite hilarious. They used to send sort of, letters, or rather, uh, mail to you mailed it back to yourself, and then that's how you said, I used copyrighted. That used to be fascinating. I used to wonder how that happened. Everything was physical copies. The copyright office itself was a physical space, so you had to go there and do your searches there, things like that. Now everything is gone digital, and I think that's made a lot of difference. But it is evolving, and then importantly, we moved from the American, copyright system to the French system. So the number of rights have also increased as a result.
And would you like to share any insights on, certain rights or contractual clauses, especially for actors?
Most certainly. So I think one of the most important clauses for an actor, especially, is his image, or his and the performer's rights. I think these are very very important clauses for an actor, and because that determines sort of it's his image. I mean, not his personal image, but the image that he's playing, which then constitutes, and that as a result of that, the copyright therein then becomes a copyright in the film. And that is very interesting. As you all know, copyrights is not one single right, but a bundle of rights. So all these put together then are put sort of they evolve, and then ultimately the owner of the film ultimately becomes the producer. So that's very important. Then, of course, things like payment clauses, time schedules, and other aspects of I mean, for example, you have fascinating clauses like what a green room should look like in if you look at LexisNexis contracts and things like that. But in India, of course, we haven't gone so deep. I mean, by and large, for okay, and time schedules for finishing, their part on time. I think that is always an issue, and a lot of matters that come out are because actors do take on sort of other sort of acting roles in different. They may be doing multiple sort of movies or series, and that sort of balancing that occasionally becomes an area of potential conflict, and could either go to court or arbitration.
Gautam, do the characters you portray filter creatively and ideologically into your own personality? There's a layer of human experience inherent to these roles. Are those isolated or embraced personally?
For how much do you want to know? The character I played definitely resonated with my own life in some way, because he was a fighter. Not that I'm a fighter, but I've trained for many years in martial arts. So when the whole scene was put forth with Marco Morales, who's Hollywood's top stuntman, I felt very at ease doing that action scene. Secondly, where it comes to the trauma he faces, the character called Malik, the one I play, he faces this trauma of a past life trauma where he sees this girl in his dreams. And the reason I'm talking about this is because in my own personal life in the past, I have done past life regression. I've been a big fan of past life regression, and my wife is a counselor therapist who does the script is written by her, by the way, the story is by her, and the whole ideation was done, of course, in LA, and the script was written according to her idea. So I definitely resonate in this because Past Life was made very famous by Dr. Brian Weiss, who wrote Many Masters, Many Lives, a very famous author and doctor. And that's the time I started doing it when I was very young. And I kept doing it for many years. And I actually saw certain aspects of many people still don't believe in it. But the whole idea for this film and me understanding Malik and Malik understanding me is because I resonated with the entire. Maybe I did it in my life, like they say, there's no coincidence in life. So maybe this was meant to happen because I've done that exercise in my life for several times. So yes, I think this has been very pertinent.
What's your advice for actors who possibly, I mean, in your case, you've experienced that yourself, but what if an actor hasn't experienced certain aspects of the script? What are your tips to kind of get into the character?
Oh, that's a tough one, but the cliched version would be that go within yourself, tap into your emotions. It's not that easy. I mean, I did this for Maulik. I did it when we were shooting in LA. About a week before there was prep, so I did a lot of thinking and silence and going into a lot of myself. So yes, I think it's understanding the different aspects of that character. You make a chart. Okay, this is X. It's like a tree, and you make branches of the tree. I mean, this is how I would put it. Simple math, and then you understand the character, the fulcrum of the character, and then you understand what the character could be about according to the script, and then you tap into those areas and see if that works. It's not like I'm an established actor, very experienced, but this is one way I feel could probably benefit an upcoming actor or a model. Yeah.
Jamshed, what are the key IP rights a producer needs to keep in mind while producing content for online curated content platforms?
So nothing really sort of changes vis-a-vis it's just the type of, I mean, from a film or a series or online content. I think let's go for with the basics first and foremost. I think if it is if it is based on a sort of a real person or a reality or something like that, that is the first area that a producer has to be very careful of, because if you buy the rights or ensure that the rights are sort of secure from the either the family or if it is a person who's alive for his life story, then I think that's a very major sort of issue that he has to keep in mind, because quite often than not we've had instances where people have come to court at the last minute saying that they've not taken permission from us, and that's usually where conflict would happen. But I think once that is secured, then of course you have the script writer. Either he is employed by you or he's on contract with you. So those rights are very important. And then all the other rights. I mean, from whether it's the music, whether it is to do with the director and the technicians, and and then finally, of course, now there is no sort of negative, because it is a digital form. So even with the lab, what is the various arrangements? So all those contracts have to be in place, and all those rights have to be with the producer, and ultimately he applies for the copyright of the film, and that copyright, at least as legislation and litigation stands today, lies with the producer of the film. So it's an entire process. You have to involve a lawyer in that process, and then ultimately you can have it. And there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of negotiation which take place. But that is how it is.
Gautam, you've worked on films with large casts and with some highly established and respected names. For young talent in the industry, what is your advice on maintaining a professional attitude through the process and journey of working on a collective creative pursuit?
Okay, so the first point would be know your craft, because when you're standing with the other established actors, you got to be able to hold your own, because they do this every day. So for them, it's like just another day at work. Secondly is stay healthy, stay mentally very fit. Don't get intimidated, because you're going on this massive set and you have these big stars and established actors. And many times it's natural to be nervous. But then once you get into the game and you start, making yourself part of the furniture, things start flowing. But it's not easy, maybe the first few days, because it's a little overwhelming, right? Because it's a transition. You're not just doing it with new actors, you're doing it with established stars. So I guess there's a bit of anxiety. So keep yourself mentally very strong, and sleep well, stay fit, and take it on like a Navy SEAL.
Is there any specific emphasis you would put on training, formal training of any sort? I understand that it's inherent talent, but do you really feel that they should undergo some kind of formal training?
I think there is a lot. I did do a course many years back, but nowadays acting schools are not only for people who want to be actors. They're for the corporate people. They're for people who want to get to the public speaking space. So there are a lot of people I've been noticing over the years. They go to acting school like Lee Strasberg, etc., in the US, but not because they want to be actors. They want to be. They want to be probably stand in their conference rooms and talk to their 500 staff with with a lot of flair. So that's why they go to acting schools. So I think it's all about, again, coming down to your body language, your movements, how you look, where you look, how you stand, how your shoulders looking, how's your posture, and of course, how's your dialogue delivery. So I think it definitely helps, because when you're sitting with a professional who's an acting coach, I think he sums up the whole 9 yards, and he like makes you absolutely fine.
Jamshed,
Or
how does
you may even suggest acting schools for lawyers sometime.
Lawyers, I
Oh my
think, are
God.
gifted. Lawyers are gifted. So I'm a big fan of law shows, and I mean everyone is, right? So you put on any law show, whether it's Suits or whether it's I love it, because once they come, I keep asking Jamshed, can I come once, please, to court? But he hasn't given me permission yet. He hasn't invited me.
on
Over the
Jamshed?
years, I've been asking him over the years, by the way. Anyway, because I just want to sit in that courtroom and get the real feel and see. So I think lawyers
Not
are.
letting you in court because you've not offered him to produce a show. So he has to be the next star now, you know.
Well, we'll have to convince him to do that too. So lawyers need no acting, I think. They're just natural. They feel their clients' problems and they flow. They flow like the river.
All right. Jamshed, you spoke about arbitration and mediation earlier. How does this help resolve IP disputes and uphold principles of copyright law?
Sure. So currently, as the legislation stands in India, you can use arbitration, mediation, or rather, the courts now encourage it in all forms. So, as far as contractual disputes are concerned, you can, in fact, according to me, you should have it, and all commercial cases, compulsorily insist that you do have mediation. We also have the mediation bill, which is now sort of becoming an act, and that is also going to first ensure that the parties go to mediation and then thereafter to arbitration, and not clog the courts. The difficulty is with regard to copyright issues, because as of now, the Copyrights Act very categorically says that all disputes must go to either a district court if it falls within that jurisdiction, and or the High Court of competent jurisdiction. So there, perhaps, unless the court sort of orders mediation, which these days they most definitely do, you can then go to court. And of course, the other issue is that both parties should agree to mediation as far as the copyright part of it is. So I'm hopeful that with the Mediation Act in place in India, I think that should also sort of change, and I think there's nothing that cannot be resolved, and and especially in media and entertainment issues, going to court should always be the last resort and not the first.
Just for our audience could you tell us the difference and, explain what arbitration and mediation is?
Sure.
And when does it really come, at what point in the dispute should that be activated?
In fact, mediation is that whenever there is any, you know, dispute or difference between the parties. For example, in a contract, uh, you know, say, for example, if Gautam has been given a particular schedule and, he has a problem over there, and the producer then, mediation is a process by which, if there is any difference between the thought process of the two parties to the contract, they can immediately refer it to mediation. Mediation is where you sit informally across the table and resolve it with a trained mediator who brings in a win-win situation for both. So that is the meaning of mediation. Arbitration is it, instead of going to a formal court process, you can have an arbitrator who's usually an expert again in the field, but in that he is permitted, to get the parties to lead evidence, to have arguments. It's exactly like a court procedure, but it is done in a setting which is outside of court, and it's much quicker also now. And most disputes, internationally at least, except for copyright, they prefer to go to first they send it to mediation, and if there is no resolution, then to arbitration, because it's much better. And you can have virtual hearings, you can have everything now. The all that infrastructure and everything is available worldwide. And the other very interesting aspect is that you can have an arbitrator from doesn't have to necessarily belong even under the Indian Arbitration Act. From India, he can be an international figure. He can be an expert. The counsels on both sides can also be. You can have a foreign law firm. There's no difficulty at all. I mean, they can fly in and fly out today for arbitration in India. And that also most international arbitration, all of them have something that we've been fighting for a long time, and which happens is legal transcripts. That's a compulsory aspect of all international arbitration.
Great. In closing, could you both comment on the role of IP rights in driving creativity in the Indian media and entertainment sector? Let's go with you first, Jamshed.
So I think let's be very clear. As it involves creative people, creativity. So whoever is in the media and entertainment segment, what you bring to the table is your creativity, and how is that encapsulated? That can only be done through rights that you have, and that's usually through copyright and maybe trademark, maybe for a fashion designer, the Design Act and things like that. So these are, and then of course, importantly, what is mentioned in through contract. So all these, according to me, are at the fulcrum of this business. And it's very, very important that anyone who enters this business, just as we say, it is my business to know what a Jimmy Jib is, it is equally a person who is, an actor or a director or a producer, to know at least what his or her or their basic rights are, which very much includes IPR.
Gautam, your views?
Well, what I've learned in this endeavor is the agreement should be watertight. I've had my share of hiccups, and thanks to Jamshed and Sudisha and the team, they have helped me understand a lot of, being a first-time producer. I guess there are certain steps you take which you still have to come to know the business in totality. So with their help, what he's talking about IP rights, the copyright, I now am more confident after gaining knowledge from them, and of course their assistance. And any future project I do, which of course I will, they have to be involved. Jamshed has to be involved, because then you have a professional guiding you and telling you, okay, man, you're wrong here, you're wrong there. It's like basically you're building a fortress around your castle. And for that, you need a professional. So I guess it's absolutely mandatory.
Thank you, Gautam, Jamshed, for this really insightful conversation. I'm sure our audience would love to hear it, and I look forward to engaging with both of you in the future.
Thank you, and nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye, Jamshed. Bye, Loita. See you.
Bye.
Bye.